Hello, everyone. My name is Grant. I am a field manager here with the Center of Digital Engagement, and today I'm also joined with Morgan. You're muted, Morgan.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, you're
Hi,
fine.
I'm Morgan. I'll be your co-host today, and I'm also a field manager for the Digital Summer Clinic. Now, before we get started with this episode, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll get back to those later in this episode.
Awesome. Well, today we are joined with none other than Charlie Penner. Charlie is a regional director at the Michigan Small Business Development Center, the Greater Washtenaw region, since 2002. So, welcome, Charlie.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Charlie, give us a quick introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a brief history on sort of what you've done that's led you to this point in your career.
Okay, sure. Happy to. I got interested in small business during college. And when I graduated, I joined a small business in Massachusetts. It was actually a worker-owned, collectively managed clothing distribution business. We had a store in downtown Northampton. We had a wholesale business and a mail order business because there was no World Wide Web at that time to have a web-based business. So we did mail orders, sent catalogs to people all over the world. Did that for a few years until we went bankrupt and realized that just being well-intentioned, hardworking, and smart wasn't enough. We actually had to know something about business to do that. So I went and got an MBA, actually a master's in public and private management. And from there, graduated into the tech world, was working at Gartner Group, which is a tech consultancy in Connecticut, and did that for several years until moving out to Michigan. Was an IT consultant for Plant Moran, which is one of the big CPA firms based here in Michigan, and have been consulting for small businesses, nonprofits, local governments, healthcare systems, school districts, for more than 30 years now.
It's quite the amount of experience there. Definitely got the history in.
Mm-hmm. All right. Charlie, tell us a little bit more about your role as a regional director at CDBC.
Sure. So the small business development centers are a taxpayer-funded, free-to-use program. We are in all 50 states and cover all 83 counties in Michigan. So the Michigan is sort of one entity. My region covers 6 counties here in southeastern Michigan, and we provide free confidential one-on-one counseling to small businesses, pretty much all types. There's a couple of restrictions because we're federally funded, businesses that we can't work with, mostly in the cannabis industry, gambling, things like that. But we provide counseling, some training. We have a whole on-demand webinar, a library of webinars that people can access for free if they go to our website, michigansbdc.org. We have some market research capabilities, a lot of network building. Oh, you need an accountant, you need an attorney. We know some people who we think would be a good fit for you. Our region has about 1 million people, so about 10% of the state of Michigan, and there are 6 of us, 4 business counselors, 2 pretty senior ones, 2 less senior, but all have 15, 20 years or more of experience in the business world, and then myself and an intake consultant.
So that actually leads us into our next question. So I see that you've overseen the counseling of hundreds of businesses, small businesses, but in particular, what are some of the common pain points that you've seen with your vast experiences?
Okay. Kind of one of our sweet spots for businesses we work with is, I like to say, people in business who aren't business people. They started their career doing something, maybe they're photographers, maybe they're massage therapists or cooks or something, but they decided to go into business, and now they need to understand the business aspect of whatever it is that they're doing. So that's a lot of people who just need the basic nuts and bolts of running a small business, whether it's filing an LLC or understanding their financial statements, looking at figuring out who their customers are, those types of things. So there's a whole range of people who fall into that category, and we counsel. Right now, we're up to over 1,000 different businesses a year, just out of our office alone. Some of those are pretty extensive engagements, people we've been working with for, many, many years. Some of them are one and done. They have a question, they get it answered, they go on. I think the two biggest areas that people need help with is access to capital and marketing and sales. They don't go into business doing something that they don't think they're good at, but knowing how to sell it to people is a whole nother thing. So that's an area that we often focus on. And just many of the people we work with don't really have the resources to do what they would like to do. I had a man I was on the phone with earlier this week. He needed $500,000 to get started on a project that involved, purchasing a property with, many acres and multiple buildings. And he had about 80. And, just trying to figure out, is there a way to get from here to there in the amount of time that he had? So, those kinds of challenges are pretty frequent as well.
Definitely the climb, just trying to figure out where you are and where you need to be. I could see how it could be definitely a big struggle, especially with the expertise too.
Yep. So that's kind of the basics of, commonalities that we see. Every business is different. Every business owner gets to define success however they choose. And then it's our job to help them achieve that success if we can. And if we don't think that they can, it's our job to raise the concerns so that they, don't make serious mistakes.
All right. Next question. Since you worked with so many local small businesses, how do you see businesses changing in the coming years?
Okay. There's a number of things, and there's a number of challenges if you read the business news at all around inflation and the whole banking structure. The regional banks that are have been in the news recently are typically the ones that fund our clients. The talent questions remain, and the remote working has sort of contributed to that. In addition to the previous challenges, workplace culture kind of goes into that as well, and all the supply chain issues, are kind of the normal things we've been hearing about. A couple things that we're looking at with our clients in particular here is thinking about a post-social media world for marketing. For a long time, people, they put an ad in the newspaper, you'd put ads on television, radio, yellow pages, things like that. And that's all, largely gone away for local small businesses, not completely. And Facebook and Instagram and Twitter have become bigger sources of outreach to connect with your clients. But a lot of that's really fragmenting. A lot of people are tired of being sold. They don't want to be bombarded with ads. They don't trust what they're hearing. So how do you connect with your customers now? What do you do if you're a local restaurant or a salon or a venue of some sort? How do you find your customers and let them know what you have and why you think it would be interesting to them? So that's one big area of challenge that I think is applicable for this program. And another, we're just starting to look at things like ChatGPT and some ways that could be used either for social media or internal communications, business plans themselves. If you need to write a business plan, is there a way to have ChatGPT do some of the more mundane parts? But is there a loss if you're not doing that work yourself as the business owner and letting the machine do it? Are you missing out on understanding some critical pieces of your business that might come back and bite you later?
Definitely. So our final question, before we get to our user questions, kind of a good ending for our bit here is, what are some of the success stories that you've seen from small businesses that you have received your services, and what factors contributed to their successes?
Okay. Yeah, there's a whole range, obviously. I mean, one that's sort of top of mind for me because I've just started working with this person, and they actually have been met them through another EMU program, the Executive Certificate in Entrepreneurship. So that's exciting. I'll give them a plug as well. But she just got her canned wine into Little Caesars Arena and Plum Market and some other places that folks might know. So that's fun when, she's gone from, pre-revenue to some pretty big name customers. So we're excited about that. We work with a lot of retailers, a lot of the ones in Carytown and many other places. Retail is a complicated business with inventory management and discounting and buying and staffing and all of those things. So we do a lot with retailers. We do a lot with therapists. And there's another company I've been working with from the beginning. It's a healthcare communications and marketing company. It's been virtual since from the start. So the two founders share an office, but everybody else is scattered around the country. I think they have one person in South America, and they have one of the founders is a marketing professional, the other's a nurse. So they're clinically informed, and they've been growing like crazy for many years. And so it's just a great success story. Some really good jobs and some really interesting projects that they're doing. And I would say some of the things that common features among our more successful clients, coachability, knowing you don't know everything. And I was just talking to a man this week who is a Google engineer with a MBA from the big school down the street. And he's like, I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't know how to start a company. So, he's happy to work with us because he knows a lot of things, but he doesn't know how to start his particular type of business in Michigan in particular. People who do the planning, understanding how much can you bring to this endeavor? How much are you going to need? How much time do you have? What else is going on in your life? And is this the right time to do this? And are you really prepared to do it? And wherever possible, just starting small, testing your ideas, seeing if they work, starting at the farmer's market or on, just an online store someplace, keeping your costs low as you learn, so that your mistakes are smaller.
That's great. Definitely the teamwork aspect of it. It's good to see the successes rolling in. So we have a couple user questions here. So Morgan, if you want to take away the first user question.
Yeah, sure. First user question is from Bud Gibson. He asks, how does the mission of the CBDC differ from a place like Ann Arbor Spark?
Okay. Hey, Bud. Good to hear from you. So we work very closely with Ann Arbor Spark. We have a technology team that teams closely with their clients. Most of Spark is really focused on businesses built on intellectual property. So they're not your typical Main Street kinds of businesses, the restaurants and retailers and therapists and things like that. They're looking at patentable or protectable businesses or ideas. We do also work closely with Spark East in downtown Ypsilanti, which is more Main Street focused. They don't provide the same kind of business counseling and training that we do, but we cross promote events and collaborate on a lot of different projects with Spark and other smart zones and places like that. It's a very collaborative ecosystem throughout Michigan.
Great. And we have another question from Shelby Kyle. Shelby asks, how do people typically find out about your organization?
Well, many different ways. Our best clients typically are referrals, either from partners like Spark or from other clients or other service providers. More and more people are finding out about us just through search engines and looking for business help, and they come across us. A lot of people found out about us during the pandemic. We were very involved with all the pandemic relief programs, and so we started working with a whole lot of new businesses, and many of them have just stayed with us.
All right. Our next question is from Elizabeth Lohman. She asks, do you provide resources for only Michigan companies?
We do, although there are SBDCs in every state and several other countries at this point now. So, we just got a referral from the Ohio SBDC based in Toledo, where somebody, I assume from Monroe, had come to them, and they sent them to us because we're more familiar with the Michigan environment, and so we send people back and forth like that all the time.
Great. And we do have one final question from Bud, and Bud asks, does the SBDC do things like financial grants?
We do not. We don't have any money, and it's our job to help people find money, but we are not direct funders ourselves.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that actually ends our digital live. So before we head out, I'd like to thank everyone again for watching our digital live today. Charlie, thank you for being here on with us, talking about your experiences with the SBDC and all your vast experiences. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Digital Summer Clinic, so you not miss any new updates. Also, our applications for the Digital Summer Clinic are now open, so make sure to get on applying so we can welcome you into an amazing future. It'll be an amazing experience filled with making connections and bettering your real-world skills in the modern workplace, opening up new historic opportunities. We'll be joined by another special guest next week, Sheena Monin. Sheena is the co-founder of Passive Bolt. Passive Bolt is a decentralized identity platform that introduces cryptonic associations for unlocking secure spaces. Sheena will be on next Thursday at 6 p.m. You won't want to miss it, and any of our other amazing guests that we'll have on in the future. Thank you, and we will see you here next week.